I still strongly believe that we're in the zombie era, not because zombies are literally moving around or because people are glued to their phones, but because these days people do not think anymore. They're so glued to schedules and things like that, and they just don't think. And if you look at it straight or straightforward without beating around the bush, that is exactly what is going on in the world right now. People are so used to schedules. Someone does the same thing from Monday to Monday and they're not tired of it just because maybe they get a little bit of entertainment or something small changes during the week is enough to change them, and people are so comfortable living such a life whereby they don't think. And if you really think about it, the only thing that differentiates us from animals and plants is that human beings have that ability to think. Animals worship God, animals eat, animals sleep, animals communicate, they mate, they do all those things, but the ability they don't have is to actually think. You may think that, oh my God, they think, oh, they do things that need intelligence, but that's just what they call instinct. So that is what differentiates human beings from animals. That is the ability to think, and any activity or any routine that can take away that ability is actually making you numb or taking some big part of your of what this defines you as a human being. Because you look at routines of these days whereby someone wakes up in the morning, they do this, they do that, they do that, they do this the same exact day, and thousands of people are very comfortable living such lives. That is what they call being in a zombie era. Because not no offense if I'm calling anyone out there a zombie, but I have to bring it out straight and as factual as it is. Zombies in the movies we see only look after blood, and as long as they have eaten, they are very fine. And that is what people do these days. As long as they have where to sleep, they have what to eat, and they're entertained, that is all they care about. They don't really, and maybe if they're tired or not, such small things, but someone to actually think and go out of the box is very rare. And it reminds me of something that I saw in a book some time back whereby the Romans built that big stadium you see in Rome. I don't know what it's called, but yeah, they built it so that they could entertain the Romans. And this was the mindset behind the people who built that. And they were like, as long as you feed them and you entertain them, they will do whatever you want and they won't rebel. And that is a mindset that has been driving the world. You see people putting a lot of money into cinemas, into film studios, billions of dollars and things like that, into food industries. And that is not bad. I have no problem with entertainment. But if you see some of the biggest and most influential and can I say most powerful industries in this world, that is either food related or entertainment. Look at the football, the Premier Leagues, the Super Bowl. Like that is a kind of content. And don't get me wrong, don't get me wrong. When you look at that entertainment, it's not bad. Entertainment is good, but if something robs your ability to think away from you, that is exactly what you should be avoiding because it is all part of the process, but you can't keep on enjoying all the time. So that is why I strongly stand with that statement that we're actually living already in a zombie era. Zombie era does not mean that zombies will start moving around and things like that. You can literally be living in it and you don't even know or you don't even differentiate it. But as long as you don't think, you're already living in it. That is how most people are. And if you find someone who thinks outside the box, they're usually regarded as smart or out of this world or unique. You look at the Steve Jobs who thought outside the box. Look at the great inventors. Some of them weren't actually that smart, no offense, but some of them weren't actually that smart. They're just people who thought outside their routines. And I'm not against routines or anything like that, because when you look at the way a routine is, it makes your life easier. It's supposed to help you, give you more time to work on something else. That is exactly where the problem comes in. Once you over get used to routines, that is what happens. You stop thinking and your brain just does things. And a recent research by neurologists and neuroscientists claims that once you step out of routine, you're actually putting your brain to the test. So try it maybe some time whereby you just step out of a routine you've been following and you'll see how hard it may be. If you've been brushing with maybe your right hand, try doing it with the left. If you've been maybe eating food, then you read a book, try doing it the other way around because such small changes actually help awaken your brain, can I say? And now you see people like me who are talking about such things. I don't care how young you may think I am or something like that. Someone's going to be like, oh my God, he's smart. Oh my God, he's awake. And why in the world do you think they say that he's awake or something like that? Because I've heard that statement hundreds of times. I was speaking to an AI. I was discussing some matters and things like that. I don't ask why. And then it was like, you're one of the awake people. And I'm like, what? That is the exact thing. They say we are awake or you're awake because you know a certain piece of information. And you'd ask yourself why. because the system these days is so compact, like party after party or work after work after work. If you're not working, you're sleeping. If you're not sleeping, you're eating. If you're not eating, you may be spending time with so and so. And trust me, all those things are good, but ability to think is being robbed away. And as generations keep on moving and moving, you see even the content that sprawls, like they call it brain rot, it's getting more different and more different. About a few years ago, a cat smiling online would be brain rot. Then a few years ago, some guy dancing with his back would be brain rot. But these days you hear of things like skibidi toilet, and no offense, but that is the exact kind of brain rot. You see things are getting dumber and dumber, but people are getting more entertained by it. Some memes blow up these days is just insane. But I have no like beef on it, but look at skibidi toilets. It's just literally a guy coming out of a toilet with poor graphics, but I think gets billions upon billions of views. And ask yourself what is going on. If someone's like, oh no, that's Gen Z, that's Gen Alpha. Quit calling out generations and things like that. Whether you're a boomer, whether you're millennial, it doesn't matter. That is the whole point. People are losing their ability to think. And where we are going in the future, you're going to find that such abilities are so rare. They're going to be very rare, not because people have stopped people who had them have died or something like that, because people ways, the environment that used to develop such habits has been removed. That is a thing. You see, when you're having routine after routine after routine after routine, where do you have time to think? these days when you find someone taking these days when you find someone taking time off, they're either depressed or something like that. And that is what they think. Yeah, many times I'm sitting alone in the park or something like that, or maybe on a bus ride, or I'm just having time with myself, and then someone comes to you and is like, Sham, are you depressed? What's wrong? What's the matter? That is not the whole thing. As human beings, you need that time to think. You'd ask yourself why many of those people, the great inventors and scientists of past and innovators, would spend a lot of time on their own. It's not because they're depressed that they didn't have people to spend time with. Look at people like Isaac Newton, who are famous in their times, but they still used to spend hours and hours alone. It's not because they want to be alone or maybe they're antisocial people, but sometimes you need that space to think. Sometimes you just need that time. So that is what the system these days is taking away. Routine after routine after routine. I was once in a boarding school, and that was how the system used to run. You literally only get like 1 free hour, and just in that 1 free hour, you have sports or stuff like that to do. And you'd find yourself in this routine life whereby that is a fact. That is how systems are being built these days. They make them so compact so that people don't have that time to be idle, which is perfectly fine, and I really respect the people who develop them. That is exactly the outcome of trying to remove that quiet time. Because while many people become idle, there are many people who also develop ideas. That is why now you see when you find someone alone these days, either depressed or something like that. But that is exactly what the system is taking away, because this zombie era is going to be something in that sort or in that category whereby people just stop thinking. And it's not because necessarily they are dumb or something like that. I've met many smart people who just don't think. Maybe they can even get high grades and stuff like that, but the fact still remains that they're still living that routine life and they're very comfortable. Some people are even, I remember I'm still in school and there are people who are getting high grades so they can have enough free time, also so they can do whatever else they want. When you ask whatever else they want to do is to watch skibidi online or stuff like that. So that is exactly what is happening in this world. People are losing that genuine ability to think, not because they're becoming dumber, but because the environment that nurtures it is being taken away. And that is what I'm trying to urge. Don't lose that environment, because once you lose it, you're losing your ability to be human. You're losing what makes you human. Because that is what differentiates. Now, if I'm just ask you what differentiates a zombie from a human being, what differentiates a cow from a human being? You may say it has 4 legs and we have two. I get you. What about an ape? You may say it's more hairy, but you get the whole point. Because all those examples, you're going to keep on giving me something, but when I ask you a zombie, you cannot start comparing its skin color or whatsoever. And that is the point. That ability to think is being robbed away. That is what this video is about. That is what I'm trying to echo out. That is being taken away and the environment is being taken away. So if you have a way of preserving that, please try to, because you should actually just be a witness where we are going in the future. Ability to think is going to become so rare. It's going to become so rare. And brain rot is becoming worse. You look at the content that is entertaining people these days. It is no offense, but it's literally just annoying me, because you find someone watching content that really doesn't make sense. It's just rotating around one simple basic concept, and it's just having loud sounds, fancy graphics, and a lot of screen changing. The screen keeps on changing every 1 2 seconds. And I've taken some YouTuber classes when I was starting this channel, and realize that they're like, don't keep on something on the screen for more than 3 seconds. That is the rule. Actually, it's literally a lot. That is what they do, because every time you keep on changing things on the screen, every time you keep on putting something in front of the brain, it stimulates, it creates a stimuli that, can I say, produces some sort of dopamine that keeps your brain active or wanting more of that content, aka killing boredom. That is exactly the thing. So they use that system to keep on putting things and putting things. And if you look at videos like this one, it looks like a lecture. Someone will say, "Oh, Shama, you preached. Oh, Shama, that was a beautiful lecture." Exactly, that is what people are going to tell you. When you look at the class, people don't like it because it's the same thing playing and playing and over again. But how many times do you find books whereby things are always changing and changing? Yes, they have plot twists that maybe that story goes up and down, the hero goes down, maybe they go through some hard stuff, but it is a general concept and it has been there since the beginning of time. What I'm trying to say, these things whereby the graphics change within seconds, and from a blue screen to a black screen to a green screen, whereby they keep on sparking that dopamine. And look at shorts these days. Just literally take this study. Look at shorts these days, the way they are. And that is what YouTubers are doing nowadays, because it keeps on sparking dopamine. So now try to put that in your daily life. If you changed something, the way you do something, just imagine how much you're going to spark. Because that is what dopamine is, what usually drives a motivation whatsoever. But that is the whole thing behind it. So as I'm ending this video, as I'm coming to a conclusion, these days that is the way the world is, and you're not going to come out and start fighting against it, because trust me, you're literally going against the whole entertainment and whatever. But the thing that you can do is to try to change something small today in your routine. Try to do something different. And now, when you bring in that concept of different, you've become a public enemy. Trust me on that one. I've been to a new school and a new place. I want you to try to introduce something new, something that is going to spark people to do something further, something that is going to bring more thoughts to the table. Oh my God, you become a public enemy there and then. That is the whole thing. That is where the world is going nowadays. So, whereby people are keeping on loaded by that brain rot, you can be one of those who are actually still on. Because trust me, you may think it's not going to affect you, but you losing that ability to think is also affecting your attention span. Look at the attention spans of these days. Compare someone who spends a lot of time on so okay, compare the average person who's in routine plus that one who is not usually into. Okay, people have routines, even may have routines. I'm just saying that routine that doesn't let you think. Compare those two people, that's the first thing. Then compare someone who spends quite a good amount of hours or minutes every day scrolling through TikTok and Facebook and whatever and whatever you may call it, versus that person who doesn't usually do such things. Compare them. And I'm not saying in terms of academic scores, man, some people cram and things like that, but just look at the way their general life plays out. You're going to see a big difference. That's why many people are now saying quit social media and stuff like that. It's not because they're against, or maybe they are against social media companies and stuff like that, but it's because they're trying to bring out a point. Our attention span is reducing rapidly these days because of such things. How often do you find people who sit down to read books? Actually, of recent, I fell in love with reading books, and I started reading so much that I got opportunities to go to different places, and reach there and they look at you like this professor who came from maybe I don't even know which universe of wisdom. It's not because you're smart or something like that, but because you're doing something that most people find hard to do. And they find it hard to do. Trust me, all the people I've met who can read books or who are in the reading club, I mean, they're not dumb or anything like that. They just don't have that time. But once you give them a phone and you give them data and stuff like that, they can spend their hours. That is the exact point I'm trying to bring out. Generations are degrading not because they're becoming denser or whatever, but because the environment that used to foster that growth, mental growth, is being taken away. And that's what differentiates you as a human being. So if you really thought this video helped you, make sure you try doing whatever you can, maybe share it or whatsoever, subscribe, and we'll see you at other time. That is today's scoop, and I'm Samuel Shama. Thank you very much, and yeah.